refusing to broach the subject at all of a rebuild after this team's playoff window obviously closed 4 years ago, refusing to do anything about the coaching staff because apparently they develop younger talent, and trying to sneak in one of those younger players down to the farm because you think you can sneak it through, you think you're pretty confident, but alas, he gets picked up off of waivers and you get nothing. Why can't this team ever do things the easy way? Because after 25 years and through the 24th season, it's obvious, Johnny, we're masochists. We like being put through torture by this team. Everybody's hands go up, way up, as the Nashville Predators defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets by a final score of 2-1 Tuesday night inside Bridgestone Arena. And on the back of a 39 save performance, the Preds climb 2 points closer to possibly getting a wild card spot. We shall see how the rest of this week plays out. My goodness me, where would this team be right now if it wasn't for its two rock star goalies in net? Remember, folks, this is a Columbus Blue Jackets team that ultimately at the end of the season is not going to be anywhere close to a playoff spot. They are going to be comfortably in the draft lottery discussion for one Connor Bedard. This team's performance sometimes, especially in the third period, could have fooled me sometimes, because is it really possibly a playoff team, or is it just a middle of the road team, not good enough to make the playoffs and not bad enough to be comfortably in the draft lottery position? Like I said, the Preds playing a back-to-back, this one being one of the two makeup games the Preds still have to account for from when Bridgestone Arena flooded around American Thanksgiving. Kevin Lankinen getting his first start in the Preds net since January 6th against Washington, because as you remember, he wasn't feeling good and ultimately didn't get the start in Montreal last week. But fortunately, the Preds, usually going back to when they were in the same division way back when, usually do well against the Columbus Blue Jackets, but you wouldn't know it by the scoreboard by the end of this game. And I say that the Preds usually do well against the Blue Jackets, despite the fact that, if you remember, back on October 20th, the Preds had a 3-1 lead in Columbus and proceeded to allow 4 unanswered goals in the third period en route to a 5-3 loss. Very quiet first 5 minutes in this game. Nobody really taking control until the first exciting moment was 2 minutes after that, when you see Parsonen, off of his game-winning goal yesterday against Calgary, gets a great chance. I don't know what it is sometimes with some people on this roster, but you could hear a collective shout of "shoot" by Preds fans in attendance and around the globe watching this game. Some players on this team just have to be more aggressive and can't be afraid to get the puck on net, because more often than not, good things will happen. A Tommy Novak tripping penalty is the first penalty assessed in this game, but to the Preds' credit, they have the majority of the chances during the penalty kill, so it doesn't seem as much of a power play for Columbus, but the Preds kill it off. Mikael Granlund, another one of those snake-bitten players on this roster, as about 8.5 minutes into the first period, he draws a penalty, putting the Preds on the power play. And what did I just say about players not shooting when they have a chance? As he was getting fouled, he had a great chance to at least get the shot off, but he doesn't do it. Preds had a good cycle of about 4.5 left to go in the first period, including Yossi, who just misses the net. Tarasov, maybe he's getting into the Preds players' mind, keeping this game at a 0-0 score. 9 seconds in the first period, Tarasov with a late save to keep the Blue Jackets in this game at a 0-0 tie at the first intermission. Preds outshooting the Blue Jackets after one, 12-9, just like Monday, but a lot more nervous, it seems, for the fan base to watch this performance thus far. The Preds and Blue Jackets, like I said, having both played on Monday, don't seem to be off the mark and are still competitive as they've played 20 minutes and are now into the second period. The Blue Jackets actually evening the Preds in the shots on goal department. Game is still scoreless, but a breakthrough finally comes about 5.5 into the second period. Forsberg has the puck, forehand, backhand. This guy is so gifted, it doesn't even matter. And he can see he's got a passing lane. So with the intention of getting the puck to Dante Fabro, he backhands the puck over to him to Tarasov's left, but even though he's on the same team, Cody Glass says, "Nuh-uh, Philip, I got this. Don't worry about getting it to Favreau. He can get back to the blue line and play a little defense. Let me take care of this." He intercepts the pass meant for Favreau. He turns himself around and finds a hole in Tarasov's blocker sight and shoots, gets it in the net, and the Preds finally have broken through, have a 1-0 lead. A little later, the Preds' hard work pays off and they get awarded another power play. But you could have fooled me with Machenko in the box for high-sticking Roman Josi as the Preds just seemingly sit back as the Blue Jackets wind their way through into the Preds zone unchallenged until at the last minute, Lankinen's able to make a save. Interesting moment about 9 minutes left to go in the second period when Matt Duchene gets called for hooking down Kent Johnson. And yeah, it might have been a soft call, and you could say it once that you disagreed with it, but the refs were very, very lenient in letting Duchene have a few minutes to chew the scenery, because any other player, maybe any other time, you might have also been called for unsportsmanlike conduct, which Duchene has to be careful in moments like this. When the call may have been bad, don't push it too far so you don't put the Preds on a more extended penalty kill. And fortunately for the Preds, that one power play that they drew from Duchene's hook doesn't cost them, and they maintain their 1-0 lead back to even strength. Just over 3 minutes left to go in the second period. The Preds are persistent once again, creating chances, cycling the puck well in the Blue Jackets zone. Tanner Jeannot drop passes it to his captain, Roman Josi, and you think the word would have gotten out around the league. Maybe challenge somebody like Roman Josi, the Preds captain. Don't allow him to just skate down the board, behind the Blue Jackets net. Oh, nope, nobody wants to challenge me. And then right in the last possible moment, as he's about to turn the corner to get out from behind the Blue Jackets net, he says, "Hey, Yakov, do something with this puck." He passes it to Yakov Trenin. Yakov Trenin picks, "Hey, let me shoot in the same exact spot, basically, that Cody just did." And he picks the blocker sight underneath Tarasov's right arm, gets it in the net, and the Preds have extended their lead to 2-0. The remaining time in the second period ticks down, a solid 40 minutes. The Preds leading where it's important, 2-0 on the scoreboard, even though the ice seems to be tilting slowly towards the Blue Jackets, them having outshot the Preds 15-11 in the second period. Columbus comes out early in the third period with some jump, a sign of things to come later on and for the period as a whole. And the Preds best be warned with a sign like this that they're going to have to compete and not take the Blue Jackets lightly. One of the few bright spots does come early in the third period with the Preds having a couple close calls to score. They only get 5 shots on goal in the period, but Tarasov is able to prevent the Preds from extending their lead. Just over 6 minutes into the third period, here's another problem that the Preds could, if they really wanted to, could work on. If you're going to take a penalty, which I know happens in the game at inopportune times, at least try to go for the puck so it can be blown dead and you can set up defensively. Because after Forsberg hooks Marchenko of the Blue Jackets are free and clear because they're not challenged to set up and have the puck for a good 30, more than that, probably maybe 40 seconds of free range before the Preds are finally able to touch the puck and get the penalty started. And even though the Preds will kill off all 3 Columbus power plays in this game, it would be on this penalty for Forsberg. Right as time expires, Columbus is attacking, and right in front of Lankinen, Nyquist is able to get it past him, cutting the Preds' lead to 2-1. And hang on to your hat, this is when the fun begins of hanging on to a 1-goal lead for the second time in as many nights. Just under 9 minutes left to go in regulation, the Preds' Colton Sissons draws a tripping penalty from one Tim Burney of the Blue Jackets, and Preds fans are like, okay, good. Can we finally get a power play goal here? Get a comfortable lead once again by going up by 2 goals? Nope. As we know how the Preds like doing things when it's in the clutch, they don't get a power play goal out of this 2 minutes. They ultimately just kill off 2 minutes off the clock, hoping to grim and bear it, and that the Blue Jackets aren't going to be able to push hard enough for that second goal. Ultimately, by the time I die, hopefully in my late 70s into my 80s, what is going to be the cause of death of me is the Preds unable to score on the power play. That's what my death certificate is going to say. That penalty expires, and now we're under 6 minutes, and now seconds and minutes slowly tick off the clock as Preds fans are trying to usher this team to getting another win, but Columbus is giving plenty of pushback. Clock not moving fast enough, and Columbus with another attack under 3 minutes left to go in regulation. At this time, one of the players you wouldn't expect this to happen to, Roman Josi, hits a run in the ice and he falls. Luckily, he's not hurt, and he's able to recover in time to get back into play to prevent a dangerous Columbus Blue Jackets scoring chance. One thing I will give the Preds credit in the clutch in that third period is when the game was on the line, the Preds kept the puck possession in the Columbus zone. Jackets were unable to pull Tarasov as we hit 90 seconds, and then 60 seconds, and then 45 seconds, and the Preds are still in the zone. Finally, a Blue Jackets defender is able to hang onto the puck because he knows the Preds need a line change, and finally, Tarasov is able to get on out of his net, get to the bench, giving the Blue Jackets a extra man on the ice, but it's too little, too late, as the Blue Jackets cannot set up. The final seconds tick down. The Preds players can finally breathe, and for the second night in a row, are massively outshot in the third period, this time 16-5, but where it counts, the Preds lead on a scoreboard as the final horn sounds. Preds win this one 2-1. Well, now that that game is out of the way, how is everyone's heart rate doing, huh? We doing okay? We back at resting heart rate? Now that the fun is out of the way to start this week, the two appetizers that weren't really that easy to digest, were they? Now the main course comes the Preds' way with going to St. Louis on Thursday and then back home at Bridgestone Saturday night against the Los Angeles Kings. Can I just say ahead of time, even though it's 2 games away, can you try not to blow a late third period lead if you're fortunate enough to get there this time, unlike what happened at the beginning of the season? Preds got no help on the out-of-town scoreboard tonight as Edmonton blew out Seattle in Edmonton tonight, showing that the Preds are going to have to take care of their own business Thursday and Saturday. On Thursday, you're playing a St. Louis team that you're 1 point ahead of in the standings and that you have a game in hand on, so preferably get a regulation win. Back half of the season now. You don't need teams nipping at your heels the whole way to game 82. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like it. You can find my social media by clicking on the channel name. Tell all your friends about Predemption. That's 2 of 3 wins to start this 7-game span that I told you would be key for the Preds possibly making a playoff push. Can you boys give us 3 more wins before next Thursday?